Welcome to Newy News Podcast, Episode 2. Great intro, right? We should like animate an intro. That'd be cool.
That would be awesome.
I want to do that.
I'm Luca. This is Will. We're the Wazinskis. Today our topic will be conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And
So each of us have picked a number of conspiracy theories that are pretty famous, and we will just
Or
be
not
talking
famous.
about them. Yeah, or not at all, but we just think they're funny.
Disclaimer: this does not mean we believe in these conspiracy theories. This is just because we wanted to talk about some of them.
So yeah, I have 3. How many do you have?
Depends. I mean, I have a big old list right here on Wiki that I might be reading off of. But it's just I don't know. I couldn't really get any like big ones, so I might just do a bunch of little ones.
Okay. Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So I'm gonna start with the where is it at? The artificial diseases. So there was a bunch of the KGB back in the 1970s, when HIV was really starting to pop up, blamed the CIA for it, which obviously back then the Cold War's going on. It's bad. Well, it just stopped, but basically
just blaming each other.
Yeah, so they're basically blaming each other for anything, but people still take it on today, with similar diseases like Ebola and ADHD, HSV, and HPV. They all people like the actor Steven Seagal, the Islam leader, Nation of Islam leader Louis. I'm gonna butcher this last name, Farrakhan, and the former South African president all blame the U.S. for this. So mostly the location of its followers are outside of the U.S., but they all blame the U.S. for it. So it's not a huge conspiracy, but you know they're all saying that the U.S. released these diseases to. I don't know what they're trying to say about that, why they would do that, but they're just saying it happened.
All right. Well, my first conspiracy is that birds aren't real.
Mm-hmm.
This one I actually do believe in.
Really?
Every single bird you can think of is fake.
Uh-huh.
Even chickens. Okay?
Uh-huh.
When you go to the store and you buy chicken, that's just beef, but it's artificial. It's a completely artificial food.
Yeah.
The theory is that they originally tried creating beef, but it like turned into that. So they were like, you know what, let's just pass this across as chicken. Same thing with eggs and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, when you see a bird outside, that is really a government surveillance drone. They are fake. They are not real animals. Think about it. Like, other than I guess bats, they're the only animals that can fly. And I mean, it took us a while to learn how to fly. We needed some kind of big contraption.
Yeah.
So since these birds are obviously like surveillance drones, they're obviously robots that are created by the government to plot our demise.
Uh-huh.
How do they charge, you say? Well, they charge by sitting on electrical wires. You know, when you see those birds, they're sitting on the electrical wires, and they don't get shocked. So you know that they have to be absorbing the energy and using that to carry out more of their investigative. I don't know the word for it, but
investigation
tasks.
Yeah.
Jobs.
I have a question for you on that topic. Then, so what happens before we knew? Like, how do we how do we know that was there birds before, or was there
Yes, there
have they
were.
always been?
They were originally real, but then the government let out chemicals into the air to kill them, and and kind of like recreated them to
What time
trick
period was
us.
it?
We don't have an exact date, but we think it was around the 1920s, 1940s.
Okay.
Have you
Well,
seen
I
the?
would I would probably push it past 19 or around 1940 due to the emu war. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a big
I
part of the
just pulled it.
conspiracy too.
I pulled it up right here. No, that wasn't a conspiracy theory. That actually happened.
Yeah,
But
but it's
uh,
a piece of the conspiracy theory.
yeah, it's a piece. So the emus were, I think they were eating all the crops and stuff. Yeah,
In Australia,
yeah, in
and
Australia, and so the Australian government hired these guys. This was back in 1932, where machine guns weren't that great, but they they hired these guys to go out and just mow down crowds of emus, and they couldn't do it. And it costed like somewhere around like nowadays it would have costed like $5 million to kill around like 200 emus,
hmm
and it was because the emus they had really thick feathers, and so
yeah,
the bullets didn't go far enough deep enough in to actually kill them. So they only got a couple of them, and when you startle a group of emus because they like to huddle around, they all fly or
hmm
fled around. So I would definitely think that was one of their attempts to try and eradicate birds is the emu war in
yeah. That
Australia.
sounds about right.
It does
Um,
sound.
have you seen those videos where like somebody holds like a big bird and they start like moving them around, but their head stays
Mhm.
in place? That they have a gyroscope implanted in the chips in their brains, so they can still carry out their surveillance jobs
Yeah.
without being interfered with.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, what
Definitely.
I'm saying is, if you look out your window and see a bird staring at you, like I would probably get some blackout curtains or something.
Yeah.
Um, that's always
Or
a great
shoot it.
idea. Keep you safe because you don't want the government peeking at your stuff.
Okay. So let me ask this because I hunt a lot, right? What happens when I shoot a duck or a turkey, and when we gut it, there's just guts in there, no robotics?
Um, so what
Computer.
happens is, you know, the artificial meat that they created.
Hmm.
They they have it replicated like in an instant if the bird ever gets hurt. So
And the,
that artificial meat is created like immediately when a bird gets harmed, it splits into these two chemicals and mix together and create the solution, and then
or
the robotic parts dissolve.
I think you could also make an argument that the science is so advanced now that all of the internals of the bird is just it's all robotics, and it all can come back to the United States or the government, right? And so what's actually in the bird is real, and it's just you can consume it, you can gut it, and you can do whatever, and it's just those are the parts that already make it move, and it already simulates it so much that you can't tell the difference between if it was a real bird or if it was fake. Is that all we got on the birds aren't real, or do we got more stuff?
I think that's all I got at least. There's a subreddit. Oh yeah. Have you seen those little spikes that they put on top of like trees and signs?
Yeah.
Those are those are from actually smart people who don't want the birds to spy on
Watching their
them.
stuff. Yeah.
Um, so if you see like someone who has those things around those little spiky things around their house, they are smart, and I would talk to them, ask them about the uh, theory.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not theory; it's
Ask them.
facts.
Yeah,
All right,
definitely.
your turn.
So I'm gonna pick chemtrails. So you know condensation trails that form behind planes. So like when you look up in the sky and there's those streaks across the sky. So there's a conspiracy theory called SLAP, which is Secret Large Scale Atomic Spheric Program. And the theory alleges that the water condensation trails, or the contrails, from aircraft consist of chemical or biological agents that that contain a supposedly toxic mix of aluminum, strontium, and barium. Under secret government policies, an estimated 17% of people globally believe the theory to be true or partly true. In 2016, the Carnegie Institution of Science published the first ever peer-reviewed study of the chemtrail theory, and 76 out of the 77 participating atmospheric chemists and geochemists stated that they had seen no evidence to support the chemtrail theory. So there was one chemist, or what's it called, the atmospheric chemist, that was like, you know what, I think this is a real thing.
He's like one of those you know how all those ads say 9 out of 10 dentists recommend, that 10%, that's where that guy is.
76 out of 77 atmospheric chemists believe that chemtrails are not a thing.
And the atmosphere chemistry business industry is pretty big. Like,
yeah, and they either say the
government should be worried.
Yeah, the atmospheric chemists, they say that they either didn't support it, there was no evidence at all, or that the chemtrail theorists relied on poor sampling. So they only chose the sampling that supported their original statement. So we can move on to one of yours.
All right, so my second one is about the Yellowstone volcano. Okay. So the Yellowstone volcano hasn't been active until I think 6000 BC or something, long time ago.
Really
and
long.
Even then, it wasn't that big of an eruption. But a lot of conspiracists and people believe that it will soon erupt. And considering this is 2020, I actually don't think there's a huge chance that won't happen.
I heard a lot of scientific evidence too that it will erupt soon. But I've seen scientific evidence, but I haven't heard the conspiracy theories on it.
So a lot of people believe it's soon to be active. There have been people who have like felt rumbling, like slight rumbles when they're like around the volcano, and they believe that the USC is drawing contingency plans to because they're pretty sure this thing is going to happen, but they need to plan to make sure that if it does, what the heck are they going to do?
Yeah.
And there also has been many reports of animals running away from the volcano. Some scientists claim it to be they're running from tourists, but when I was in Yellowstone a couple of years ago, like,
they love the tourists.
They're like, there have been people like that have gotten really close to bears there and somehow not gotten mauled.
And then there's people who do get mauled by the bears.
Yeah. There still are a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're actually pretty used to tourists and not that scared of them. So I don't really know about that.
So this is one that I think could be a very true possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with all the stuff that's already going on.
Yeah, because 2020 is just.
It's been crazy already. So I don't totally disagree. I mean, I haven't heard any scientific evidence that rejects this conspiracy. Well, I wouldn't call it a conspiracy. I would call it more of a I don't know what I would call
Just
it.
a theory in general.
Yeah, it's just a theory, yeah. Because it's not really conspiring against anyone, so I don't know how much of a conspiracy theory you would call it. Because I think conspiracy theories have to be hurtful to be a conspiracy theory in
Mhm.
some way. They have to negatively influence somebody else, and so when you see a kind of, it's not really a negative, it's more of a positive. Like, hey, we gotta watch out for this volcano that could erupt.
Mhm.
I don't know how much of a conspiracy you would call that. What else? Do we have any more information on that?
Um, that's pretty much all I could find. Hold on, I found an article on my phone, but I think I pretty much talked about it.
Mhm.
Everything I found on it. Uh, yeah. So the volcano measures 44 miles across
Mhm.
in diameter, and if it erupts, it could wipe out the entire U.S.
Jesus.
Oh wait, never mind. It last erupted 630,000 years ago. Not.
That's not
I don't know
that
where I got that other
long.
number from. Yeah, I pretty much said everything.
So
Your turn.
we can't go through a conspiracy theory episode without talking about the New World Order. Um, Obviously, a lot of people know about the New World Order. It's the international elites that controls the government, the industries, and the media organizations, and the goal of establishing global. I don't know how to pronounce that. Hegemony, hegemony. I don't know. But they've been alleged to be tied to the Illuminati and the Masonries, and basically you're just thinking, if you think of the lizard people, basically it's the same thing, just without the lizard people. It's just a bunch of people who are nation elites, like presidents and um, uh, five-star generals of countries all over the world that are just tied together and are conspiring against other countries. So you got everyone from every country's got to have one person in the New World Order.
What about the Denver airport thing? I thought pretty sure
Yeah.
that had
So
some stuff around it.
it definitely. So it the Masonries and the satanic culture, they're all alleged to be connected to the Denver airport. So the Denver airport is a very large airport, and it's not very near. It's sorry, I'm reading here. It's doesn't have a close distance to the main city of Denver, in Colorado. So like when you think of Detroit Airport's right in the middle of Detroit, and you think of like the JFK Airport and Miami Airport, you're not going to have these airports outside of the place that you're flying into. So Miami's not going to be located way out of Miami.
Mhm.
And the Denver airport is located in a very it's a farm town basically, and so you have this huge airport, and I think it's like somewhere around, I don't even know, it's like 60 square miles or something,
Wow.
and they only use like 20 square miles of it. But it's been alleged because it was built on I think it was like a previous mall or something, and they just built the airport on top of it. And so there's all these underground pockets of just abandoned space, and they basically the airport land is huge, but the airport itself isn't as big. It doesn't have a lot of people coming in or going out as much
Yeah.
as any other place would, or especially a place as big as Denver, or as big as Denver's airport. And it's got these weird murals all over the walls and stuff that depict these weird just they're really confusing to look at. They depict like war and death and just all these, and they've got these huge weird statues, and it's just it's really confusing. And so basically, the conspiracy is that the Masonries and they created, and the New World Order created a headquarters underneath the Denver airport where they set up, and they have this really weird horse that has these red glowing eyes, but I think it's all copper, and it's right on the runway or right outside the runway. And so and what happened was the guy who designed it, when they were building it, I think the head fell off and crushed him and killed him. So it's weird. And if you ever look at the Denver horse, I think it's called the Denver War Horse, then you just see this weird and I don't know, the whole thing is just why. I don't know. It's just why.
I heard that there were like Nazis under there and like the Illuminati or something. It's pretty crazy.
There's Nazi symbols throughout the Nazi-like symbols. Like there's this one, I think it's a bunch of kids and refugees lined up, and there's this big World War II-esque soldier with a Nazi fit on and a big gas mask with a sword. And it's just, why? Like, why would you have that in an airport? And there's these weird statues and there's a plaque outside, and it's dedicated to something for the airport, and it has the masonry symbol on it, like flat out. It just I'd have to pull up the masonry symbol, but it literally, like, there's no conspiracy where it's like all the letters make out the masonries. It's literally the masonry symbol just right on it. So I don't know. It totally seems unreal, but all of the supporters and facts behind, well, not necessarily facts, but it's just, it goes through your brain a little, you know?
Oh, people are weird.
Yeah, definitely weird. That is what it is.
Well, speaking of weird, my next conspiracy takes place in Idaho. The weirdest
Idaho
state ever. Well, I tried to make a transition, but it kind of failed. All right, so some people in Idaho believe the state is subject to government experimentation. So they think that the government is dropping chemicals from airplanes overhead and poisoning them. Yeah, chemtrails. So they see huge streaks of like green and yellow chemicals falling from the sky, and there's a YouTube video of this guy who apparently found tons and tons of these streaks in the mountains. They could barely even see anything. I'll put a link in the description if I can find that. And in 2015, this is one of their biggest sporting reasons, 2,000 geese fell from the sky and were found dead in Idaho.
Jeez.
While some believe it was because of the chemtrails, environmentalists says most likely because of an infectious disease known as avian cholera. So you got the two sides here. One thinks it's chemicals, the other person thinks it's just.
Well, we went over we went over the chemtrails, which are basically, it's been said that it didn't happen. But now that you look at the Idaho, which is a whole different conspiracy, and then you also have both the Idaho conspiracy and then have that on top with the chemtrails, then it becomes a little different.
Maybe they're connected somehow.
Yeah, because the chemtrails one is basically just saying, hey, the government's dropping chemicals on us, but you say why? And then the Idaho conspiracy is that they're dropping it on them for government tests, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And control.
About, I'd say, this is just from what I've seen, about 50% or more of conspiracy theories I've seen it just because of the government.
Yeah.
Everybody blames everything on the government. It's funny.
Well, that's why it's a conspiracy, is because you conspire against the government. Yeah.
Personally, I think those things are just like fertilizer or pesticides for all the potatoes they grow there.
And I think it could be,
that's the first thing that comes into my mind when I think Idaho.
If it's
I immediately think potatoes.
If it's flying up high, yeah, we all do. But if it's flying up high, it wouldn't do too much of a fertilization. But I think that it might just be a kind of a eye, like it comes to the eye because of I mean, you think Aurora Borealis, that's just a collection of gas in the atmosphere, and so seeing, I think that sorry, it's hard to explain. I think that it could be a perception of just an illusion, basically, where they're still just the chemtrails, but it's just because of some sort of altitude difference, or the sun is shining just the right way, or there's a different increase in temperature or whatnot, that it could definitely just be an illusion to the eye versus the government dropping chemicals on us or on Idaho.
Okay, you have a new one?
Yeah. So we said that the birds weren't real and that they were used for spying. Well, there's also another one where it's Israel animal spying. So they're still using animals, but this one isn't saying that those animals aren't real. They're just saying that they're used to spy on people.
Like they're trained?
Yeah. So conspiracy theories exist alleging Israel uses animals to conduct espionage or attack people. And these often associated with conspiracy theories about Zionism. Matters of interest to theorists include series of shark attacks in Egypt in 2010. The Hezbollah's accused their accusations of the use of spying eagles, and the 2011 capture of a Griffin vulture carrying an Israeli labeled satellite tracking device. So they captured a Griffin vulture carrying a satellite device that was from Israel, and then also they have the accusations of the spying eagles, and there's the increased shark attacks. Like there was a series of shark attacks on swimmers of the Red Sea resort of Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt on December 1st, 2010. And 3 Russians and 1 Ukrainian were seriously injured within minutes of each other. And 5 in the 5th of December, a German woman was killed, and when they were attacked while wading or snorkeling on the shoreline. These attacks were described by unprecedented by shark experts. So basically, these people were just mauled out of the blue by sharks, and they weren't like bleeding or anything, or doing anything that the sharks would want to come over and attack them for. So it's kind of weird that on December 1st there was like a real big increase on shark attacks, which is a little concerning.
How do you train a shark?
That's what I was thinking. But also, like, not only like how do you train a shark, but we've also I've heard about like war dolphins. The dolphins have been trained to, or no, it was orcas, I think, where they were being trained to be strapped with torpedoes and stuff, where they would shoot them at boats and stuff. Weird stuff. But yeah, just so that I think that was during Cold War, though, the Cold War, which a lot of weird stuff comes out of the Cold War. Mm-hmm. And hold up. Yeah. So there's a lot of new techniques and stuff coming out of the Cold War, like the Russian sleep experiment, and I think that was World War II, actually. but just weird, different tactics and just new things coming out of the Cold War that shouldn't have been, wouldn't have come out unless we were fighting against Russia. So it's just a weird topic.
I'm out of conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
Do you have any left?
I've got a bunch here, but a lot of them are just really weird. There was that the government released the photos of the UFOs.
Oh yeah,
that was recently. That was 2020, and they were trying to. I think that was also tied to the birds weren't real. They were trying to get the eyes and attention off of the rechanging of batteries, or just there was some.
They knew we were becoming too aware, and they needed something to distract us.
Trying to look out. Oh, so there's the false flag operations where different countries use or attack or do something under the name of a different country. So say like Russia invaded or Russia took over some oil fields in the name of America, even though America didn't do it, Russia did it, and just to make them look bad. So that's just like a really, really close, or that's just a really short one. I don't know other ones. We've got
America misplacing some nuclear bombs. There's been a lot of theories about them just losing nuclear bombs. Oh well.
Whoops.
My bad.
That just disappeared.
Just have to make some more to replace them.
Oh God! Imagine you just like kind of forget where a nuclear bomb shelter is, and then just somebody comes across it and sends a rocket to Russia and creates a new a war and whatnot.
The 1950s and 60s were lawless times. That's not true. They did laws, but like
definitely
among conspiracists, it was lawless. So, if you have any conspiracy theories that you think are pretty interesting, maybe we'll make a part 2.
Yeah.
Put them in the comments.
I think this was a pretty short episode. Probably it was like either 30 to 45 minutes long. We're kind of struggling on ideas right now. So anything that you have for ideas for future episodes, just try and make it. I mean, we need to make it.
We're running low on topics, so.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you.
So anything that we could talk about for about an hour or so, just to fill up time. We have a bunch of little topics, but we don't know if we could really put them all into one episode. But,
so sorry for not posting last week. There was still some complications. Yeah, or the week before that. But I think we can do it next week. If we can't, we'll just have to record it in advance.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching the second episode of the Nearly News podcast, and we will see you next week, hopefully.
Yep.
Bye.